On this week's episode of Razorback TV, we take a look back at a few of the big moments from the first 9 weeks of school.
Those moments include the groundbreaking ceremony for the TASD Middle School.
Plus, the story on how one freshman is leading the way with his violin.
And how Ms. Hubel's AP Environmental Science class is taking part in the real-world experiments.
All that and more coming up on Razorback TV News. Welcome to Razorback TV News. I'm Ava Price Gentry.
And I'm Erica Ferguson. Today's episode will be a little different than normal.
Filling in for Gracie Pendergraft and braiding caps, we are taking a look back at some of the news and events from the first 9 weeks of school.
Gracie and Braden, along with Addison Cummings, can be seen on this week's episode of On Our Campus, hosted by Hannah Phillips and Evan Burton.
One of the first big events of the year for the district occurred on just the third day of school. That's when representatives of TASD and the Texarkana community broke ground for the new middle school set to open in January of 2021. We covered the story on our monthly show, On Our Campus, when Braden Cap sat down with our school board president, Glenn Spears. You can find the entire story on our YouTube channel.
On September 12th, Arkansas High welcomed back former students along with the current students to celebrate their successes on last year's AP exams. Nearly 75 students were given $100 for each AP exam passed. Former Arkansas High graduate William Reed was the keynote speaker. Reed is an engineer with Lockheed Martin. Close to $14,000 in total rewards were handed out during this event.
So Erica, what would you do with the $100?
You know, I think I would donate it to people in need. How about you?
That's a good idea. I would save up to buy a new phone. As we continue to look back at what has been covered here on Razorback TV News in the first 9 weeks of school, we have to mention our string students. In mid-September, 14 string students qualified for All-Region. Around the same time, freshman Ethan Miller was named the youngest ever Texarkana Youth Symphony concertmaster. Here's RTV's Gracie Pendergraft with the story that first aired on September 28th during the first episode of On Our Campus.
Ethan Miller has been playing the violin for 10 years, and he's only 14. He was recently named concertmaster for the Texarkana, Arkansas Youth Symphony, the youngest ever to receive such an honor. So young, in fact, that the news went to his mother first.
And I had to prepare a piece for him and play some scales. And after that, it took him about 5 hours, but I heard later, actually it was the next day, where he emailed my mom and said I got concertmaster, so that was also really cool.
As concertmaster, Ethan will lead youth symphony practices. In fact, he led his first practice while we were working on this story. So how do you make a decision to play an instrument at that age? Who or what inspired you to begin playing the violin?
Well, I was 4 years old, so I really wasn't inspired. My mom, she went to the Yellow Pages and found someone, and she made me practice, forced me to practice.
His biggest supporter, Kimberly Miller, pushed him throughout his life to be the best musician he can be.
When he was 3 to 4 years of age, he would want to look at different instruments and ask me questions about different instruments. He was very curious about the process of music.
That curiosity for music runs in the family.
My great-granddad was a violinist, and we still have his violin, and it's setting up as an antique in our home. So my great-granddad was a violinist. My dad played the guitar, and my mother plays the piano. And my youngest son, Grayson, he plays the piano as well.
Although it may seem as if Ethan was born with this talent, it hasn't always been a smooth road.
We were struggling when we first started the violin. I mean, it was crying, I don't want to do this. His violin was really little. We have his violins, and they go up as he ages.
Ethan practices close to 20 hours a week while balancing a busy schedule. He also takes strings class on campus taught by Miss Finley. The news of concertmaster wasn't the only accomplishment for Ethan this month. A recent trip to Conway for all-region tryouts resulted in good news for the young violinist.
There was 110 violins, so I had to go 9th overall, and usually the earlier you go, the more of a disadvantage it is. So I went 9th, and I waited and waited and waited, and eventually around 5:30, my mom told me that I got first again, and I was surprised.
From performing at the farmer's market to making All-Region, Ethan has done it all, something Miss Miller says has been a joy to see.
To watch Ethan grow in every aspect of his life is just a moment that every parent wants.
A couple of years ago, Ethan opened up a show for country music legend Dolly Parton.
Well, it's always cool to get #1, but when you get to open up a concert for Dolly Parton, that kind of has to go over all that.
Ethan's mother knows her son has been on some big stages in his lifetime, but nothing compared to Ethan's approach to help others before his all-region performance.
He was surrounded by all of his classmates, and he was getting them, and he was helping them tune their violins, and making sure that they were the ones that were going to be successful. So he put his success behind their success. And that's something you can't teach. And as a mother, in my opinion, that was his best performance to date.
And the best part of playing violin for Ethan,
Just being able to actually do it, making music, it's pretty cool now that you're doing it and no one else is doing it for you.
Ethan's first performance as concertmaster will be December 8th at the Perot Theater. For Razorback TV, I'm Gracie Pendergraft.
On September 18th, many of Mr. Telford's computer science students took part in a one-day app challenge. Here's the story that was first reported by DeMonte Jameson on episode 2 of Razorback TV News.
Mr. Telford's computer science class has always been one to go far and beyond what's expected, and they proved that once again when they recently left campus to take part in a one-day app challenge at the Little Ed Center.
It gives students a chance to go through a rigorous step-by-step process in order to create an app.
Those of you familiar with the process of coding may know that it is not an easy task and would prove difficult to accomplish in one day.
No, we cannot create an app in one day, but we can certainly get the frameworks and the ideas that we need to create an app in one day.
This event can help students prepare for the upcoming Congressional App Challenge for a chance to take a trip to Washington, D.C. With Razorback TV, I'm DeMonte Jameson.
On October 9th, Arkansas High hosted a Spanish Heritage Fair in the gym as part of Spanish Heritage Month. You might not know this, Spanish Heritage Month starts in the middle of the month each year, running from September 15th to October 15th. The event showcased different Spanish-speaking cultures. It was led by our Spanish teacher, Miss Pass.
Now moving from foreign language to science. On episode 3 of Razorback TV News, Evan Burton told us all about the new Eco Column project on campus.
It started in mid-October in Miss Huberl's AP Environmental Science class. Here's Evan with the story that originally aired on October 17th.
Project-based learning is nothing new here on the Arkansas High campus, but the newest activity that has been initiated by Miss Huberl sticks out like a green thumb. Students in her AP Environmental Science class have started a large study known as the Eco Column Project, where Miss Huberl's pupils will take a new angle, learning about human impact on the environment through the conduction of scientific observation.
They'll learn how we can take real life situations. We can learn about them in the classroom, but then we can apply them to real life.
Under the instruction of Miss Huberl, the students will use 3 Coke bottles, one representing the gas layer, which holds the plants, one representing the decomposition layer, which will hold dead leaves and worms, and one being the water layer, which will be holding a fish. These 3 layers will be used and observed on a daily basis. To understand why they do this, we asked Miss Huberl herself.
We can minimize human impact on ecosystems in the future.
Senior Lainey Smith finds this type of learning more valuable than traditional learning.
We'll get to see the ecosystem up close, and we'll just study it from a book or in a video where other people are studying it. We'll get to see it ourselves. We'll get to look at all the little things instead of just the big picture.
However, part of the learning process is finding out how to overcome some of the challenging aspects of this project.
Because it is such a complex project, it's hard to follow all the steps exact, so you have to be very careful about that or something could mess up your ecosystem.
The entire experiment is expected to last 6 to 8 weeks. We'll be sure to have a follow-up later in the semester. For Razorback TV, I'm Evan Burton.
That's our look back at the first half of the semester.
Be sure to check out this month's new episode of On Our Campus with Evan Burton and Hannah Phillips, now available on our YouTube channel and Facebook.
Gracie Pendergraft and Braden Capps will be back Friday, November 8th with a brand new edition of Razorback TV News.
Thanks for watching, everybody. I'm Ava Price Gentry.
And I'm Erica Ferguson. Have a great day.
Right.